Heyo, my Planet Coaster friends, Johnny5 Alive here, and there's a big 3 new DLC packs for Planet Coaster. We're going to check them out all today, and I'm joined with Lauren.
Heyo.
So stay tuned, and let's check it out. Alright, so the first pack is this Back to the Future pack that you guys are seeing right here. It adds some DeLoreans and stuff, and I guess they have a licensing from Back to the Future. We'll show you guys this stuff in game right now. I just want to show you guys the Steam page for it. So here it is. It's it's priced at $3.99 Canadian. What was it for you, Lauren? American?
It was $2.99 US dollars.
So it's a little bit pricey, but that's because of the licensing. So let's jump into the game and show you guys what you get. All right, so this is all the stuff from the Back to the Future pack. So I guess the big feature here is the DeLorean go-karts. Now, you know, it would have been nice to be able to reskin the original go-karts or like swap out the carts, and that we've, you know, this has been a thing with Planet Coaster that we've all wanted, was to be able to change the cars, but they are their own separate go-karts. Same with all the other ones with the DLCs. So you can't go back to one of your go-karts and change the cars. You're gonna have to rebuild it as Back to the Future. I guess it is what it is, but look at that, you get to drive a DeLorean. Pretty cool.
Yep. And I think these go-karts had a takeoff effect that they like skid out with some flames.
Yeah, we saw that in the video a little bit there. So with this, you get a whole bunch of different DeLoreans. So they all have different variations. So this one's from the Back to the Future 2 because it has the thing where he uses food or whatever, I guess. And then this is a version without wheels, I guess.
Yep.
Under
That's
repair.
what it's like.
This one's the flying version. And then this is the original one from Back to the Future 1. And then they have all the pieces deconstructed. So you can use this little cockpit for, I guess, spaceships if you're building them. And, you know, you can kind of use them for however you want. There's some lights. You could use it as a computer terminal, I guess. There's some frames and some other pieces. A bumper. And then the blender. I guess you can now put this in a kitchen in one of your Cosmic Cow cafes. I'm sure people are going to come up with all sorts of creative uses. There's Back to the Future, the sign. You know, I kind of want to see an update to the Back to the Future park now. It's a bit unfortunate. So there's some wheels and different stuff. So new wheels. And this, there's a new effect. So that's the takeoff going into time. So I could see this being used for like little fighting scenes with jet fighters in space and all sorts of different things. Mech battles. Even the fire itself, the blue flames, is cool. Then there's the fire strip. So it's a new type of fire. And it's what the DeLorean leaves behind when it goes into the future or the past. So very cool. Some new effects. Not too bad. It's a handful of items there and some new go-karts. So I'd say it's worth it. It's not too bad at all. I like the new effects. That's my favorite thing. And obviously a DeLorean's cool, but it's just kind of like, well, what do I do with it? Unless you're making you know what I mean? Is that fair?
Yeah. Oh, it's very
niche.
specific to Back to the Future, yeah. But
so unless you're doing a Back to the Future theme thing, this pack is, you know, it's a very fan niche thingy. I would say, you know, if you're not doing something there, I mean, you're basically looking at new wheels and effects, right? All right, guys, so the next pack is the Knight Rider pack. We'll do a quick preview here. It's like a 30-second video. It shows them putting together there's Knight Rider go-karts, as you can see here. And they're just showing a little preview of it. Some explosions. And they got some pretty fancy effects for this one. So jump into game in a second and show you guys this. This one's also $4 or $3 American. All right, so this is the Knight Rider stuff here. So you got the Knight Rider go-karts. These are really awesome looking. Let's see. The DeLoreans were not colorable. I don't know if the cars are colorable in this one. That's unfortunate.
do you have to be in edit track mode? I can't remember with the go-karts, but
I don't think so. It's just editing the track colors.
yeah. I don't remember.
They are cute. All right, so you get a whole bunch of car stuff, and I guess you can intermingle them or match them with the Back to the Future stuff in some cases. So that might be interesting to see people mash these combinations together. You know, it's really interesting seeing these card packs, but I guess it works now that you have the screens because you can really do the drive-in theaters now, which is neat. Only downside to these is you can't color them, so that's a bit unfortunate. So they're all going to be black cars.
Yeah.
But they're all broken apart. You have the doors, all the different things. These vents, I guess you could use those for speakers. I could see people making stands or, you know, stages with speakers. There's some nice little lights and stuff. Again, very niche in some cases. Very, you're going to have to be very crafty. This is cool because it's a window and you can actually see through it. So I could see some people enjoying that transparency. Knight Rider sign. And I guess my favorite thing, again, would be these new explosions. There's sparks, there's a huge explosion, and then more sparks. This explosion.
I think those sparks are supposed to be gunshots.
Gunshots, okay. That explosion's awesome.
It is pretty cool.
Very nice. So, and the seat's pretty cool. I definitely love the effects. So it depends on if you're a car nut. I thought it was really interesting that they decided to do like car pack DLC. It felt very like it felt very Rocket League-y to me. Like we're working on cars now, guys. It just kind of it kind of threw me for a spin. No pun intended. Yeah, I was just like, oh, that's interesting. But I guess it's all about the go-karts. So they're essentially expanding the go-karts, and since they're doing that, they're throwing a bunch of cars in. So very interesting choice in terms of DLC. What do you think, Lauren?
Yep, I would agree. It's very niche, but I guess, yeah, doing the go-karts, it makes sense. And at least we get some cool little assets out of it that I'm sure people will find amazing creative ways to use. So.
All right, and the last one, we'll show you guys the video here. I think this one's going to be the one people like the most. So you got these, the Monsters pack, and there's different cars for these go-karts, two or three different cars, I guess, and it comes with various different vehicles here, and then yeah, it's kind of spooky vibe, and you'll see a video coming up from me in the future here where I'm talking about, I hope they add spooky DLC. So it's kind of interesting that they did, like the day after I edited the video. So let's go check that out in game. So this one's also $4 Canadian. They're all the same price. So if you buy them all, it's going to cost you 12 Canadian or what, $9 American, which isn't too bad. For me personally, I can't think of too many uses, but I would use the cars. Like I know some people are going to find nifty ways of using these as railing pillars, and you know, I wouldn't know what really to do with that. But I know some people out there are going to get really crafty and find ways to use these seats and different things, and you know, I'm sure there's plenty of uses for this stuff. For me, I wouldn't mind just making like a drive-in theater and plopping some cars down and stuff like that. I'll get some use out of these things. So they have this, I guess, coffin car, and then they have the Dracula car, which looks badass.
Yep.
And then
well, I think you skipped the coolest thing, which was the green smoke over there.
Yeah, I guess I was going to jump around, but I think this is the coolest thing. Confetti bats. Kaboom! That's amazing. The green smoke is cool. It is really nice. I think a lot of people would be happy with that. I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't just allow us to color the special effects.
Oh, I totally agree. I think it's a little bit silly that they're adding like just recolors of stuff. Yeah, paid colors. It's a little bit cheap and gimmicky, but maybe someday they will open it up to allow us to color smog, because I want purple smog or orange or whatever.
Pink.
You know?
Yeah, like, and then one day there's a Valentine's pack and they're like, buy pink smog, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh,
I'm not finding that to be too cool, but at least it's something.
Yeah, these are really cool, the lamps. So we get some new lamps to add to the game. I think a lot of people are going to like that, the red lamp. That
spiderweb one is really cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, very nice. And then there's all these deconstructed pieces for the vehicles and some engine parts. And yeah, so the VFX for these ones are these two things, which are great. And then the go-karts, we have the coffin car and the Dracula car racing. Yep. So that's very fun. I think some of this stuff's going to come in handy in October. And yeah, so very interesting. Again, the choice of, hey, we're doing car expansions for Planet Coaster.
Yep.
So, you know, maybe October there's going to be a paid DLC for Halloween goodies and treats and stuff. And then you'll be able to make a go-kart circuit and have all these skeletons hanging and pumpkins and all sorts of stuff like that. Let's hope. So,
yep. And you might want to answer the question of for anybody curious as to how this is going to work with the vanilla stuff and on the workshop. Do you want to go over that?
Okay, so how will it work? If you do not want to purchase any additional content, that's fine. You'll be able to toggle them off or on by using the lock button right next to the in-game search bar. Any items on the Steam Workshop that feature paid content items will be marked with a special tag. If you own the same content items as the workshop item, you'll be able to place and interact with the blueprint as you would normally. If you do not own the same content as the items, you can subscribe to that blueprint, but you will not be able to place it in your park. It will give it an obstructive notification as well as a warning that the item you've selected included DLC content. That same happens with entire parks that contain additional content. Upon opening the park, you will get an in-game notification that tells you this park contains DLC items. You can ignore the notification, fly through the park as you normally would, but any paid content will be locked for you, and it won't function within the park unless you have the correct kit purchased. I'm a little confused by this because I'm getting from this is you can subscribe to it, but you can't place it down. So there's no point in subscribing to it, right?
Yeah, that's a little bit. I mean, I don't think they have any way to because Steam Workshop is something completely separate.
Yeah.
You know? So they don't have any way for the Steam. They can't control what the Steam Workshop lets you subscribe to. So from what I understand, if you're looking at a workshop item, there's a thing on the side that will say this includes DLC content.
Yeah, I get that part.
You can still subscribe to it, but if you try to place it in game, it's going to give you an error because in game you're not allowed to use it.
So you're able to subscribe to a park and open it up because it says you can still fly around the park. So what happens to the DLC that's in there? It just says
function? It's locked and it's not right. It becomes like, you know how the scenarios have like things in them.
Oh, you can't save it or edit it and put it in your own blueprint. I see.
Right.
The way I would have done it for the workshop items if I was Frontier is maybe have an empty asset so that if you place the item in your, like, if let's just say somebody were to use, let's go into the game again here for a second. Let's just say somebody made something really awesome, but they used this one thing in their item. Now nobody can subscribe to it if they don't own this pack. It would have been nice if there was just an empty asset, you know, like it's invisible. You place it down and it's missing a piece.
Yeah, that's what some people in our Discord were talking about, and I wasn't sure how possible it would be. I have never worked on a game, so you would know better, but that would be ideal to me because
it's an asset swap. It's not very hard at all.
Well, that's good to know. But yeah, I would prefer something like that, but unfortunately, I guess that's the way they chose to go because some people are worried about, if I upload an item and I use one tiny little thing, then they can't ever see my item. That does kind of suck. So, I don't know.
Yeah. So, what's your assessment, Lauren?
Well, overall, I think the packs are pretty cool. I was like kind of surprised how expensive they are considering, but I guess they had to pay for the licensing, so that's kind of fair. And in my opinion, I would much rather see skin swaps and things like that not being sold in downloadable packs, because I mean, like recolors and reskins, I think should just be, really basic to the game, but I see where they're going. Overall, they're worth it. I mean, I like the little assets that are going to be in here. I think the monster pack is one of my favorites there. It looks like it's got some of the more useful bits and baubles.
I think this is the best one as well.
Yep.
For me, I'm a little bit indifferent. For me, it's a problem with Planet Coaster in general. I think they need to stop making entire new rides for train swaps. I would much rather be able to select which one I want to use or make a mixture. If I want to do go-karts that has one DeLorean, one Ghost Rider, and a drag, mix it up, I should be able to do that.
I don't even mind if they make those paid for necessarily. Like if there is a skin that is in a DLC, I don't mind. I just don't understand why they can't make it all on the same track so I don't have to rebuild my entire go-kart track just to use a different car swap. You know,
and that's a problem with the game itself. And I don't mind paying for extra stuff. I just don't want to throw out my old go-kart and rebuild it just so I can have different cars.
Yeah, it's weird.
And it's a bit bothersome to me. And for me, it was a little confusing again that they went with cars as DLC instead of like actual assets that people would decorate with. What's the whole car theme about? You know, it confuses me a little bit.
Maybe it would have made more sense if it came out closer to when they released the go-karts.
Yeah.
It's just been so long now that it just feels a little out of place.
It does feel a little out of place, doesn't it? I figured they would have done something like a summer stuff, right? It's free summer DLC, and it's strange getting all these car pieces for a game that we're like, we want more building walls, we want more roofs, we want more fences, like, you know, that's the stuff people build with, and you know,
it is pretty nice to have some actual automobiles now.
Although
I mean, we had Red to give us all we needed, so.
And I mean, I feel like they could have gone a little bit more expansive with that. On that note, like they bought the license for Knight Rider, why not do more stunt props, right? And if with the monsters there was an opportunity there to do, I don't know, like creepy fences and, you know, some jack-o'-lanterns and some skeletons and just, you know, add a few more goodies in there. And then Back to the Future, they could have done the time traveling train and maybe some buildings that they used to make the town hall, you know, a couple building pieces, wall pieces, and certain things like that, some new fountains, you know, and different things like that. So I feel like they could have pushed it a little bit further and said, let's do $5-6, right? So I'm indifferent. Either way, I still think it's worth it. I like having more content for my game, but my feelings about it, it's like I'm a little confused, and I'm also wishing all the go-karts were packaged into swappable car skins. And I'm going to stick by that as they continue to release more and more and more entire new coasters just to swap out a train. My opinion will never change on that, and it's rather frustrating to me because some people might go, oh, I did a Back to the Future go-karts already, but now I have to rebuild the whole track.
Yeah. So
it is like it's a bit disappointing in that sense, but that's a part of the game engine, not the DLC. Yeah, I think it's okay. It's not too bad for your money. $12 ain't so bad, and you're getting some stuff there. So there you go. That's our final review on it, guys. We'll let you guys decide whether you want to buy it or not. But I got it. I think it's worth it. So Lauren got it. She thinks it's worth it. So it has our approval. There you guys go. There's all the DLC, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that cleared things up for you. And thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye now.
Bye now.